Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of Reliability Nation. And I will say who's counting, but I'm going to do it. No one, no two, no three, no four, but five episodes right now. And we are so very grateful for your presence. If you are here real time or if you are replaying or listening later. Hi, Terrence. Greetings to
Good
you.
good morning, Ms. Magenta there. You're looking like your digital avatar, Professor Magenta today.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not Professor Magenta. Today I'm coming as Maura, but yes, my favorite color is magenta because why not to have fun with colorful? Life is colorful.
Well, welcome to everybody who's tuning in live. That's the way to get this program, although I guess it gets recorded and you can see it afterwards. Also, we love to have you interacting here live. And before we get to reliability, I have to tell you something that happened in our garden this week. The harvest came in, the big tomatoes, the ones you stake, the ones you photograph, the ones the neighbors comment on. We just got finished with the Washington County Fair. I decided not to enter my tomatoes this year, although I'm positive they would have been blue ribbons. So I want to just show you this one first.
Yeah, it looks like a heart actually. And then, Terrence, for people that don't know, tell us a little about quickly about the ribbons. What is the blue ribbon?
Blue ribbon is the top, And, by the way, big doesn't necessarily mean better. How about these?
Oh, wow. These are cherry tomatoes, right?
Yeah. Which one do you like better, the big ones or the little ones?
I like the cherry tomatoes. They're really special, let me tell you. But, a little information for the heart. That is really important for your own health. So, yes, a plug. Remember, health is wealth. So focus on good vegetables and fruit for yourself and your family. Why not taking that moment for that healthy advice?
Yeah, well, the honest gardener's answers. You love the small ones every time. All the flavor concentrates and nobody even notices. It's interesting, right? Those two tomatoes came from about 5 feet from each other. Same soil, same sun, same vines. The garden doesn't rank it. We do.
And I want to just say this week also happened National Farmers Appreciation Day. I just want to say now that I live in Nebraska and all farmers around the world, you really get to appreciate the work that they do. So thank you so very much. If you are a farmer or if you know someone around, I just want to say that to everybody in the community. And Terrence, now that we're in episode number 5, I see the screen coming along, but tell us a little bit about what's happening today in the episode.
We're really today's really all about voice, right? Do you have voice? There's a lot of conversation going on at AI, about AI slop on LinkedIn. I think a lot of that has to do with, do you have agency or not, or do you have voice or not? And a lot of folks don't feel like they have voice. And so that's today is going to be all about having a voice. And that may seem a little odd when it comes to reliability, but I think you're going to find out why that's so important when it comes to reliability. So without further ado, if you're new to this, you may not know, we've created a reliability rock opera. And this is a song from that. It's called She Already Knew. In other words, it was somebody who was at the plant that already knew what the problem was, had been trying to communicate it, but the plant called an outside expert to come in. So I don't want to spoil any more of it with that setup. Let's play She Already Knew, Maura.
Okay, let's do it.
Tanya came to work on Monday with a waveform and a plan. The bearing on the number 4 compressor, she could hear it in her hand. She walked it to the morning meeting, laid the printout on the table. 6 men looked at their coffee cups. The plant manager read his emails. She already knew. Before they asked the question, she already knew. Not because they handed her the answer, she went and found the truth. She already knew. They brought in a consultant from Atlanta, flew him business class. He spent the floor, and then he wrote it up real fast. Same bearing, same compressor, same waveform on the page. They gave him a standing ovation in the conference room. Tanya made the coffee. She already knew before the consultant flew in. She already knew he got the handshake and the follow-up email. She got the job done too. She already knew. She didn't learn it from a room that let her in. She learned it walking routes at 5 a.m. in the freezing wind. She didn't need the title on the door. She knew what the machine was saying, and she knew what the machine was for. Now she runs the program, 16 people, 3 facilities, 1 standard. And the young engineer who started last fall calls her every Tuesday. Tanya never says, "I told you so." She just asks, "What is the machine telling you?" Bet you haven't written down yet. She already knew. She didn't wait for someone to believe her. She already knew. She built the thing from the floor up, the whole way through. She already knew.
Take that, right? The woman who worked there already had, sweated it out and paid her dues and figured out what the actual problem was. They didn't really need to bring the consultant in from the outside to say the exact same thing that she had been telling them. I wrote that because many times, I'm not a consultant, but I do sort of help companies when they're serious about implementing uptime elements. And when I'm at these plants, sometimes, they'll let me go down on the line, or they'll let me get out to the assets and stuff, and I'll see something odd, and I'll talk to somebody there about it and say, "Why is this?" And they'll say to me, it really breaks my heart sometimes. They'll say to me, "I've worked here 20 years. Nobody ever asked me that question." And they know the answer to that question. So, I would just say, are you listening to the people in your plant? And if that's a story about one person, imagine if you had a story about thousands of people who work at some of these very, very large plants. So with that, I'm gonna move this along. This is a story that's coming up, and we're gonna play the audio version, but there's a PDF also at Reliability Nation. So anybody who wants a free subscription, just Google Reliability Nation or Reliability Leadership Institute. It's reliabilitynation.com. You'll end up at Reliability Leadership .org, and you can just sign up for a free account. It's like 2 questions and you're in. But this El Khalij liquid natural gas facility, 9,000 people. Let me just see, 9,000 people from 43 countries, one of the most complex industrial environments on earth. And it's a culture where people closest to the machine have basically learned that speaking up was really expensive. The character named briefly and warmly Buddy, the operator standing by a pump 2 a.m, finally unafraid to say what he heard. Tariq, a welder who'd never once been in the room with the engineers, drawing a failure mechanism on the whiteboard while 6 people from 6 countries leaned in. Gavin Holt, supervisor, choosing for the first time to be complete. The Arabic word for the heart of the story, Saut, voice. Not one voice, 1,000 voices into the aim. So the connecting line to that song is there was one person who didn't have voice. This is 9,000 people who didn't feel they have a voice. Jess, if you want to go ahead and play a sample of that story, I'll let you know when to stop.
A story of culture, connection, and the courage to listen. The flare stack at Al-Khalij LNG burned day and night against the desert sky, a pillar of light visible for 30 kilometers across the flat coastal plain. The locals called it Al-Misbah, the lamp. For 40 years it had burned, and for 40 years the liquefied natural gas had flowed, chilled to minus 162 degrees, loaded onto carriers the length of city blocks, and shipped to power stations in Tokyo, Seoul, Mumbai, and Barcelona. Al-Khalij was one of the largest LNG facilities in the world, and it ran with the precision of a Swiss watch, or so its leadership believed. Nadia Al-Rashid had believed it too once. She was the newly appointed vice president of asset integrity, the first woman and the first Qatari national to hold the position at Al-Khalij. Before her, the role had been filled by a succession of expatriate engineers, competent men, all of them who came on 3-year contracts, optimized what they could, and left before the deeper problems surfaced. Nadia had spent 15 years at the company, rising through process engineering and turnaround management. She knew the plant the way a cardiologist knows a heart. Every valve, every vessel, every pressure boundary. She knew its strengths. She also knew what no one wanted to say aloud, that beneath the gleaming instrumentation and the world-class technical capability, Al-Khalij had a culture problem. And culture problems, left untreated, eventually become safety problems. The near miss proved her right. It happened on a Thursday evening in March during a routine maintenance window on Train 3. A team was replacing a pressure safety valve on a high-pressure separator, work that had been done dozens of times before. The job plan called for full isolation, depressurization, and a confirmed gas-free atmosphere before breaking containment. The permit to work was issued. The isolations were checked on paper. Everything was in order. What the paper didn't capture was the conversation that never happened. The lead technician on the job was Rajesh Menon, a 46-year-old Indian instrument fitter with 20 years of LNG experience. Rajesh had noticed something during the isolation walkdown, a block valve on the equalization line that felt stiff, not stuck, but resistant in a way that suggested it might not be fully seated. He had seen this before, years ago, on a different train. That time, residual pressure had bled through an improperly seated valve and met an open flange. The result had been a hydrocarbon release that took 12 hours to bring under control. Rajesh knew what he was looking at. He knew it in his hands, in his experience, in his gut. He said nothing. He said nothing because the shift supervisor was a young Emirati engineer named Faisal, 6 months into his rotation, polite but clearly uncomfortable being questioned by contractors. He said nothing because the last time a technician from Rajesh's crew had flagged a concern during a permit walkdown, the operations superintendent, a British expat named Gavin Holt, had dressed the man down in front of the team for slowing down the critical path. He said nothing because in 20 years of working across the Gulf, Rajesh had internalized an unspoken hierarchy. Nationals set direction, Western engineers made technical decisions, and Asian craft workers executed. Suggestions moved down that chain, not up. The valve wasn't seated. Residual pressure bled through at 2:47 a.m. A small hydrocarbon release occurred during the flange break. The gas detector alarmed. The emergency shutdown activated. The crew evacuated. No one was injured. But the investigation that followed, a methodical, weeks-long root cause analysis, uncovered something far more dangerous than a leaking.
Perfect.
So
Okay, well, first,
uncovered something far more dangerous than the leaky valve, the fact that they didn't report it, the fact that they didn't feel that they had a voice enough to be able to report that, even though, he was very experienced, very talented, could almost just feel, how sometimes something, the car door didn't close quite right, it didn't click into place. And so very interesting, right? So the first one, the song, she knew what the problem was, and she told, and nobody would listen to her. He decided not to tell because he'd watched people tell in the past and almost get punished for telling, Maura.
But also, right, when we talk about people and culture and work, and I know we're going to expand a moment into that, it is about how people feel in an organization, right? Culture really is not putting on a wall what you're about or the aim or the mission or the vision. It's deeper than that. It's having a safe space where people can really speak up. If you are in a meeting and you are presenting ideas and everybody's in an agreement, I will say be cautious because you always have to have someone there that says, hey, you know what? I respectfully disagree, and these are my ideas. An organization wins extremely by hearing and understanding different points of views. As I always said, we're not here to compete with one another. We're here to complement one another. So the strengths of Terrence are different than mine, and vice versa. The same happens with your team. But if I am afraid to speak up about my ideas on a project, let's say that Terrence presents, we are missing out as a company. That the organization really needs to benefit in a safe space. Terrence, the uptime elements with the 5 knowledge domains have also expanded to the digitalization framework. And to me, in my opinion, at the center, at the heart, just like at the beginning with the tomato, is people and culture and work.
Well, that's the thing that I love. It isn't just a beautiful story. It isn't just a really cool song. There's a place in the framework, that's really base for this. It's the worker voice and equity. I know that, with our current administration, we tend to downplay diversity, but way prior to this administration, we had been doing research and we found that diverse teams make better decisions because as long as you have a way to surface and listen to everybody in the process, you can really improve your decision making by including the worker voice in that decision making. It is a process, but it does greatly improve things. We used to think kind of the people and culture at work were the soft, squishy thing. No, it's the actual concrete foundation of your reliability program. And if you do not have it solidly in place, you will hit a wall. Maura and I have been working on this this concept called the culture curve, and those are the 6 elements from the people and culture at work. And basically, if you were to say that was 6 levels of reliability, you will hit a ceiling by which of these elements you accomplish. In other words, of course, we all want to start with protect from harm. That's a basic minimum. We don't really even want to go out in the plant unless we're protected from harm. Opportunities for growth. So let's say you got those first 2 handled. Well, you're going to be at level 2 in reliability. If you move to community and connection and work-life harmony, you're going to be at level 4. You do matter at work, you're going to be at level 5. We're asking you get all the way to level 6, worker voice and equity. In other words, listen, have a forum where the people closest to the assets have the ability to tell you about the defects that they're perceiving when they get to something like that. That's what the idea of what we're doing here is. So 6 rungs, 1 curve, 1 truth. You cannot skip a rung. Protect from harm is when you're moving from reactive. Organizational growth is preventive. Community is planned. Work-life harmony is predictive. Matter at work.
Matter at work.
Yeah. Matter at work is proactive, and worker voice and equity, that's high reliability. Every rung you skip becomes a ceiling you hit, and that's the culture curve, Maura.
Yeah, and then I do want to plug a group that is working on diversity, equity, and inclusion, women in reliability and asset management with the Association of Asset Management Professionals. Really invite you to go there to the Association of Asset Management Professionals. You're going to find the women that are speaking about their different experiences. Also, if you are seeking to hire more women, more men, please reach out. We have a lot of people that might be of your interest, and they're really prepared people from around the world. And eco sentiment, it starts with that executive sponsorship, but I also say it starts with each of us understanding that does matter, that empathy, that culture does matter, and that is every single day, every action that you take. culture, what Terrence mentioned, it is that when you leave the room, what people say about your organization, what are people thinking about the organization? Are they doing the right thing? And it's treating your corporation as your own. You are part of the company. I understand that we all have to be here for a paycheck, but there is a deeper meaning, and that's what we call a name bigger than ourselves. That is also part of the reliability leadership framework. That is something that is embedded in the person. Also, sometimes, right, we're not connecting the human capital management slash human capital, HR, as you sometimes call it. They need to know what are the important things for each individual. Have that conversation. Where does your team see themselves from here 3 years? And organize that training program. That's how they're going to know that you're really caring for them, because they can see a future for themselves. And independently of all of these, if you want to connect it from a ROI point of view, a return on investment, just by showing what you're doing in the moment that you're hiring the personnel, they're going to understand that you're there for the long term, not for the short term. And the younger generation, they're really striving to see, what is in it for me? Where am I going to get ahead in this company? So that connection of what is in it for me? Why are we doing this? And having a future is also part of what we call people and culture and work. I repeat, it starts with each of us understanding that soft skills are strong skills.
But Maura, when I go to LinkedIn, reliability is vibration analysis. All I need to do is get IoT sensors, and I've got reliability. Now they tell me that IoT equals reliability. If I detect the vibration, now I have reliability. If I do lubrication right, now I have reliability. I mean, if you hit LinkedIn, you don't see people talking about, no, if you have worker equity and voice, you have reliability. Why is nobody at LinkedIn talking about? They all want to talk about the squiggly lines.
Yep, part of this, in my opinion, comes from the way we have always done it. And definitely reliability, immediately you go to a technical approach, but individually about a technical approach, we need to see the whole picture. And imagine that you're an astronaut. You cannot just see some parts. You have to see the whole picture. We need to operate here like an astronaut. We need to see all the pieces. So sure, besides reliability being technical, there is also human element, and the people that will be operating are humans. And guess what? We're all humans. So we all know what we want. And I go back to the pyramid of need of Maslow. We all have different desires. We all have different incentives. So Terrence, the answer will be knowledge and awareness. Once you are aware that reliability is not only technical, but that you can see with new pair of glasses, reliability from different point of views, like you're taking a digital twin picture or image of that location, your perspective changes. Once you learn, you cannot unlearn. Once you learn, you need to start educating others. And more than educating others, allowing a way to create that expectation and that curiosity. I think curiosity is a really important element in each of us, and understand what other ways I can do this.
Terrific. So maybe, one thing you could do is go back and figure out who doesn't have voice at your company that you might be able to ally with, to give voice to support and having voice. So keep your eye open for who doesn't have voice. And if you don't, come on up to Reliability Nation. We'll give you voice. In fact, I think many of you know, we sold the International Maintenance Conference and Maximo World and the Reliability Conference to a really great group called the 19 Group. In fact, we're getting ready to go down to Nashville to see the first time they're producing Maximo World. But one of the things that I am really proudest of, I mean, we've made major impact and we've really shaped the current state of the industry over the last 26 years with these conferences. But one of the things that I am the most proud of is that we have given people who didn't even have voice in their own company voice in front of 1,200 of their peers, and turned out they had super powerful voices. They had super powerful things to say that could really move the rest of us. So they had to go outside their company to find voice, and everybody outside the company heard their voice and took value from their voice. What a loss inside a company not to provide that same opportunity. But that's really, and I don't know what you want to say about that, Maura.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is a really personal topic. Tomorrow, I'm gonna be 15 years, 5 years in United States of America, and I'm very, very blessed. I come from a country that you really don't have any voice, and I don't want to get into politics. It's just the way it's happening. But one of the things that I appreciated the most that when I exit my country, my original country, I could start talking and speaking up. And let me tell you, it's so valuable as a human that you can express. That's a human right, the power of expression. And with that expression comes a responsibility, right? So, what you express every day, and especially to your team, as we are leaders in each of our areas, is really an important meaning that once you have that voice, how to use the voice. So, I do want to also emphasize that is not only having a voice, but having a voice that carries responsibility. And also something that we all, and I'm personally working is in listening. Because once we are hearing, we need to listen. And we need to listen one more time from different perspectives. What is this person bringing to me? Good or positive or bad? Even the negative will bring information that you can use or repurpose in a positive way for everybody's awareness. So, Terrence, definitely having a voice is important, but I will also say having a voice and carry that voice with responsibility is even an extra important point that we also need to touch base on that.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, so what are we taking away from this whole episode, Maura?
I am taking away from the episode that we want to continue diving with you in people and culture and work. For many of you, perhaps this is the first time that you're seeing it. So, part of what we're doing here is creating that awareness, and we're walking here hand in hand. We are learning with you. So, please insert your questions. Also, let us know what else you want to see on the uptime elements. Do you want to learn a little bit more about reliability engineering? Do you need more information on asset management? We are here for you. Terrence, the Reliability Leadership Institute, and myself are here to bring you a perspective with our voice, but at the same time, we want to listen to you. And again, part of what I'm taking away is that we're going to be continue expanding in all these concepts because we have to continue repeating and reinforcing. Bring your teams. Let them know that this show exists. If not real time, play it later, talk about it, generate the conversation. That's the idea. We all learn together and we grow together. So,
Well,
Terrence,
I mean,
I'm taking away that no, we not only have to have our own voice, but also a responsible voice, and we will continue expanding on people and culture and work.
I want to just offer some perspective. 26 years of producing three large conferences a year, just average 100 presentations a year. And I've reviewed every single presentation that's at these conferences because I was the producer. So 300 conference, 300 presentations per year times 26 years. Do you think I picked up a few things that I didn't know before?
Of course.
And I thought I knew a lot. I knew 1%. You learn from listening to other people. That's how you gain new perspective. That's how you get a new lens. Here, look at it through these glasses. No, look at it through these glasses. And each time, don't be afraid to look at glasses through glasses you don't know about yet. You're gonna see a whole new world that you hadn't seen before. If you think that you're seeing everything and that you're knowing everything from where you're standing right now, I got a clue for you. You are not. There's a whole 99% world that goes beyond this 1% that you can see. Maura and I are getting ready to head on down to Nashville, Tennessee. If you're in the region, drop us a note, say hi to us at least. But if you're there, come see us. We're going to be over at the Gaylord Opry, Maxima World. Now that is a show about a specific software, but wow, it's like 1,300, 1,400 people that are very dedicated to making the world's infrastructure and assets run. These are the water companies of the world, the power companies of the world, the bridges of the world, the highway authorities of the world, the commercial building managers of the world, the manufacturing managers of the world, all of the oil and gas and steel. It's really an amazing event. And we're so thrilled to be in beautiful Nashville All these years, I've never produced a show in Nashville. I produced a show in Chattanooga, never in Nashville. So I'm very excited to do this one. I am not the producer. Our great partners at 19 Group are producing it for the first time. Maura and I are in strong support. We're holding it up a little bit, but they are well on their way. They are really a professional conference company. We're really thrilled to be working with them. What are you thinking about Nashville, Maura?
Well, I say every day is an opportunity and a blessing. And this world, this Maximo world, if you are around the corner, Nashville, Tennessee, beautiful place in United States, is an opportunity for you to be there. There will never be another Maximo World 2026. So my invitation to you is get ready, get connected, lots of peers, lots of information. This only happens once in a lifetime. 27 is around the corner, but this is the now. Come and enjoy. And if you're around, come to say hello to Terrence and myself. With that being said, we want to be also respectful of your time. We know many of you have marked your calendar to be with us during the Fridays. We continue every Friday. We broadcast live. So with part of that also comes the pieces that we are organizing. We want to continue sharing the best experience to you. So we want to say thank you with our glitches, but that is part of being live. So thank you so much, Terrence.
Smash that subscribe button, smash the like button, because if you like us, then YouTube's going to show us to more people. And click the bell. That way you'll be notified every time we do a new episode on Fridays. And join us live. We like to have the live audience. We like to chat with the live audience. And we're just growing. This is only the 5th episode. If you want to see the past episodes, they're up at the Reliability Leadership Institute YouTube channel, and they're linked from Reliability Leadership Institute. Jess, go ahead and play us out. We'll see you all next Friday.
Thank you for being part of Reliability Nation. Reliability People is here every Fridays. Thank you very much, Terrence, Jess, and all of you. We'll see you soon again. Thank you.
In the world, please. Peace in the world.
You've been working in a plant where nobody speaks your language. You see the failure coming, and you can't get anyone to hear. You pull out every answer, but the culture doesn't move yet. You start to wonder if you're the only one who sees this clear. You found the framework on a Tuesday, read the whole thing on a weekend. 44 elements and every one of them felt true. You walk back in on Monday with a different way of seeing, and the plan looked like a place that you could build something new. But building alone is a long road, and a long road needs company. Welcome to Reliability Nation, where everybody here has walked your road. Welcome to Reliability Nation. You don't have to carry this alone. 6,000 locations, 4,000 strong. Every continent, every industry. You've been traveling so long, baby. You finally found where you belong. Reliability Nation, come on home. Yeah, you went to the conference in a city you never been to. Sat down next to a stranger who'd been fighting the same fight.